Simple Solutions lesson number 78. Number 1 says, round this number to the nearest thousandth. Well, I know that 8 is in the thousandths place. 9 tells the 8 to bump up one more to a 9, and everything before it stays the same. Number 2, we'll follow order of operations within our brackets. The first thing in our innermost parentheses is 100 minus 82, which is 18. Now the next thing inside my next brackets is 18 divided by 6, which is 3. The next thing inside these brackets is multiply that by 5. And 5 times 3 is 15. And then finally outside I have to do 48 minus 15, which is 33. So your answer is 33. Number 3, Jackie cooked 2.5 boxes of spaghetti. She divided the spaghetti among 5 people. Choose the expression that shows what part of the box of spaghetti each person got. We need to remember when we multiply fractions, we will get a smaller number, and she's dividing 2.5 boxes between 5 people, so our answer is B. Because 2.5 times 1/5 is really 5 over 2 times 1/5, which is 5/10 or 1/2. Meaning that each person would get a half of the box. Number 4, we need to convert 257 centimeters to millimeters. Move this over. And I know I'm going to start at centimeters, which is right here, and I'm just going to go one place to my right to millimeters. So all my decimal point does is move over one place to the right, put in my 0, so my answer is 2,570 millimeters. Now number 5. Which polygons are congruent? Congruent does mean they are the same shape and the same size. The answer is B and C. Number 6. Number 6, we have to solve 39 times 10 to the 4th power. When we're multiplying by a power of 10, our exponent right here tells us how many times to move the decimal place. And we are multiplying, so we'll move the decimal place to the right 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it right there. Put in my zeros. And my answer is 390,000. Number 7. In a multiplication equation, the size of one factor helps to determine the size of the product, or the answer. So we have to think about 3/4 times 8. Will the product be more than or less than 8? The product will be less than 8. And we do need to explain it's because 3/4 is less than 1. Number 8. What ordered pair represents point B? So here's B, and we know we start here at the origin at 0. We go over to 5 and up 3. So our coordinates are 5, 3. Number 9. Find a common denominator and then subtract the fractions. So I see my denominators are 8 and 4. I know that 8 and 4 have a common factor of 8. So I'm going to use 8. 8 times 1 is 8, so 7 times 1 is 7. That fraction does not change. 4 times 2 is 8. What I do to the bottom, I must do to the top, and 2 times 2 is 4. So now I have 7/8 minus 4/8, which is 3/8. Number 10, we have to compare 7 50 hundredths to 7 5 tenths. And I know that to fill in my place value back here in the hundredths place, I can just put a 0, and those numbers are exactly equal. Okay, number 11, we're going to complete the line plot using this data over here on the left. So I see a 3/5, 3 1/5, and 2 2/5. So your line plot should look like that. All right, number 12. It says, start with 2. Use the rule times 2 to write a sequence of 4 numbers. So I started with 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Then use the rule times 4, starting with 2 to write a sequence of 4 numbers. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 times 4, well, let's do that on the side here, is 128. Now it says compare the two sequences. So as you can see, if you compared the first sequence to the second one, this would be times 1, because 2 times 1 is 2. This one would be times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. This would be times 4. 8 times 4 is 32. And this one would be times 8, because 16 times 8 is 128. And 13 says, Susan separated 5 envelopes of seeds equally between 2 gardens. How much of the seed envelopes did each garden get? Between what 2 whole numbers does your answer lie? Well, she has 5 envelopes and she separated them equally between 2 gardens. And I know 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. And I get a remainder of 1. I'll bring it up here to make a fraction. So my answer is 2.5 envelopes. And between what 2 whole numbers does my answer lie? Between 2 and 3. Okay, number 14, 77 times 43. 7 times 3 is 21. Again, 7 times 3 is 21, plus 2 is 23. Put my 0 down there, means I'm going to my next place value. 4 times 7 is 28. Again, 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 is 30. Now I add 1, 8 plus 3 is 11, 3, 3. Your answer is 3,311. Number 15. Look at the grid of the park. So let's look at that. If you travel along the grid lines, is it shorter to travel from the slide to the swings or the slide to the rope ladder? Well, let's see. We have to go along the grid lines. If I go from the slide to the swings, I have 1, 2, 3. If I go from the slide to the rope ladder, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So over here, I wrote the slide to the swing was 3 units. The slide to the rope ladder was 5 units. My question asked, which distance is shorter? And I would have to say it's shorter from the slide to the swing. And finally, number 16, adding decimals. I know I can put a 0 there as my place marker. 5, 6 plus 1 is 7. 6 plus 5 is 11. And 1 plus 2 is 3. So my answer is 31 and 75 hundredths.